This week on the Kevin Montag Show, I will discuss the latest on the hostage negotiations, what is happening in Gaza, is now the time to attack Iran, the California wildfires, and the legacy of Joe Biden.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
Welcome to the Kevin Montag Show, where I will help you catch up on the latest Israel-U.S. news, explore what's next, and demand a better tomorrow. No topic is off limits, so don't expect this to be anything like Grandma's Bingo Night. Please remember to subscribe to the Kevin Montag Show. We can be found on YouTube and Spotify. Please remember to share this episode with all your friends and family. So this past week was my birthday. It was nice having a birthday in Israel. It wasn't so freaking cold. It was a pleasure. Had a great time. Thank you for everyone for making it a very special day, and enjoy the rest of the episode. So we are on the verge of a hostage agreement. This is good news. The hostages need to come home. Just yesterday in Gaza, 5 soldiers were killed. 5! And a number were seriously injured. I heard that the soldiers were killed because they were placing explosives in a home. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Enough with placing explosives in homes. You gotta bomb from the air. The reason I've heard that they are not bombing from the air is because they're short on munitions. Well, let me tell you something. When Trump becomes president next week, there should be no more shortage of munitions. Too many soldiers have died placing explosives just to blow up a house in Gaza. Hamas has adjusted their tactics. They're placing explosives on roads that were cleared. Too many soldiers are dying. It's enough already. We need to be bombing from the air. Enough with putting our soldiers' lives at risk. Enough already. How many soldiers need to die? Enough! Can you imagine what kind of shape the hostages are in? They've been in there for over 465 days. It's time to close the deal. Hamas still has not told Israel how many hostages are alive. They're talking about, in the first phase of the deal, 33 hostages are going to be released. We don't know how many of them are alive or how many of them are dead. This is insane. I've had enough. We deserve to know. The families deserve to know. The people have suffered enough. The youngest hostage is going to be turning 2 this week. Kafir Bibis is turning 2 this week. We don't even know if he's alive. This poor young kid. I pray to God that he's alive.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
So a new study just came out. It was conducted by the Institute for National Security by Tel Aviv University. And it shows that 64% of Jewish Israelis oppose a 2-state solution. This shows for the first time that majority of Israelis oppose a 2-state solution. They oppose a 2-state solution because of security concerns. They're worried. They saw what happened in Gaza. We can't give up any more land. Each time we give up land, terrorism follows. Each time we talk about a 2-state solution, or we talk about the Oslo Accords, what happened? Violence, suicide bombings, rammings, stabbings. October 7th, the worst atrocity against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. I can tell you, personally, I am completely opposed to a 2-state solution. Get it out of here. I don't want to hear anything about it. The Palestinian president has been in power since 2005. He's on his 20th year in office. He was elected to a 4-year term. Let me tell you something about Mahmoud Abbas, as opposed to his predecessor, Yasser Arafat. Arafat wore the Palestinian keffiyeh. He wore a gun on his belt. Abbas knows that Arafat wasn't successful. So, let's put a suit on. Just look at the Syrian leader. He used to dress up with Osama bin Laden. Now, he's learned, put on a suit. They'll respect us. Abbas wears a suit. he's a terrorist in a suit. In Arabic, he's calling for the annihilation of the state of Israel. In Hebrew and in English, he just wants a two-state solution. I don't believe him. The Jewish people don't believe him. We've learned from October 7th. I am completely against a two-state solution. There should never be one. Don't even think about it. Don't even talk about it. There are 2 million Arabs that live in Israel peacefully. They have equal rights. They vote in elections. A majority of them have jobs in Israel. They work in hospitals. They work at banks. They work at the post office. They work at the supermarket. We must ensure that Israel does not give up any more land for so-called peace. Just look at what happened on October 7th. We gave up Gaza to the Palestinians, and they rewarded us with the worst massacre since the Holocaust.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
So in order for Israel to get the hostages back, they're going to have to release a significant amount of terrorists. So I just wanted to share with you some statistics that were published by the National Public Diplomacy Directorate by the Prime Minister's Office. It's an annual report on terrorism that was released on January 9th. Israel, in 2024, faced over 18,000 attacks. These attacks killed 134 people, injured nearly 1,300 people, 16,400 rockets launched into Israeli territory from Gaza and Lebanon. Almost 400 drones came in, killing 71 people, including 14 children, and injuring almost 900 people. And 92,417 acres of land were burnt, caused by 610 fires because of missile attacks, mostly up north. This just shows how much damage terrorism causes. And these terrorists are going to be potentially released in this hostage deal. Think about how crazy this is. All these terrorists are going to be released to bring back normalcy to our lives. We want our hostages back. But these terrorists are pure killers. This shows how crazy this whole situation is. This is what Israel is willing to risk just to get our hostages back. A lot of these terrorists are going to return to the battlefield. So this is what I think we need to do in order to maintain safety. We need to create a buffer zone in Gaza. Anyone approaching within 1,000 yards of the fence should be immediately shot. Immediately. They need to target Hamas leaders in Turkey, in Qatar, in Gaza, after the ceasefire is finished. If any Gazan shoots a rocket in an Israeli town, Israel should respond by blowing up a 5-block radius. You want to set an example? That's an example. There needs to be consequences for their actions. The people of Gaza need to control their neighbors. If you love your neighbor, don't shoot rockets into Israeli towns.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
So now is the time to strike Iran. Israel must target Iran's nuclear facilities. After we get the hostages back, this is the most strategic time to do it. We're going to have a new president. We need to secure the advanced weaponry, the bunker buster bombs, from America, but Israel should carry out the attack. Iran is weak right now. The currency is in a freefall. They don't have Hamas to use as a proxy. Hezbollah has been greatly weakened. Israel has destroyed their defenses. Before they have a chance to reacquire defensive systems, they need to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities. Do whatever they can. Even if 70% is destroyed, 50% is destroyed, that's what they need to do. They have the advantage. Now's the time to take their shot. Iran is always going to be an enemy of Israel until we get rid of the Ayatollah. While we have the chance, take your shot. Israel, you're on the clock.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
Good news, everyone. It's the last week of the Joe Biden presidency. It's been a complete disaster from the beginning. We've had the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. 13 young soldiers died. You had people falling off airplanes when they were evacuating. That was a national embarrassment. The southern border has been wide open. The northern border, too. People on the terrorist watch list that have been spotted, and they've just been released into the country. Migrants have come into the country. They've committed horrific acts. As a nursing student, I think about that poor young woman in Georgia, Laken Riley, who was murdered by a migrant. They've committed such horrific acts, and he just let them into the country. We've been feeding these migrants. We've been providing meals for them. We've been giving them cell phones, giving them airplane tickets to fly all across the country. And we can't provide basic resources to American citizens that are struggling? Think about what happened in North Carolina with the hurricane in September. Your FEMA team has been kicking the people out, not providing adequate housing, but you're providing housing for people who illegally cross the border? They should be immediately sent back to their home country. Inflation has gotten out of control under your watch. Out of control. 30 to 40% more on goods than it was before you took office. You thought inflation was transitory? Hell, it's not. Just remember, you didn't even want to tell us about the Chinese spy balloon that flew all across the country. You had plenty of opportunity to shoot it down. You waited until it got pictures of every important facility before ordering it to be shot down. How do you allow this to happen? You're supposed to be the American president. Ukraine was invaded under your watch. Do you know how many people have lost their lives in that war? You allowed it to happen. You told Putin that if he only takes a certain amount of land, it'd be okay. We all saw the Russian buildup on the border. It took place over months. You should have put sanctions on him. You should have threatened him before he launched the attack. You've been withholding weapons from Ukraine that could have made a difference. And the thing that really gets me is that you've been providing sanction relief to Iran. Iran funnels money to Hamas and Hezbollah. This led to the October 7th attacks. Your national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, said the week before the attack, the Middle East has never been quieter. You sure about that? The Middle East was never quiet, and especially under your watch, it got completely blown up. I won't even talk about the pardons that you've issued. Your son deserves a pardon. The people of January 6th deserve a pardon. Your Justice Department has gone after innocent Americans. Just this week, you authorized for the California wildfire victims a check of $770. That's not enough. Last week, $500 million you gave Ukraine. There's been no accounting of it. You give more money to foreign causes than your own American citizens who are suffering. Joe, Lahit Road, goodbye.
This is the Kevin Montag Show.
Oh my God, what happened in California? It's a real tragedy. It's going to take years to be rebuilt. So many people have lost their homes, their businesses. People have lost their lives. Pure incompetence. There was no water in the fire hydrants. The reservoir was not filled up. Joe Biden was there in the beginning of the wildfire. The planes were not allowed to fly because of him being in the area. If Biden's in the area, there's a no-fly zone. This should never have been allowed to happen. The governor is blaming local officials. You're the governor. Take some responsibility. We should all offer a prayer to the people of California. I hope they can rebuild quickly. And we need strength. Thank you for listening. Comment below. Remember to subscribe to the Kevin Montag Show and share the episode. This episode was produced by Shimshon Seligson. Remember, this is the Kevin Montag Show.
This has been the Kevin Montag Show.